You walk into your loft every morning with good intentions. You love your birds. You've spent years building this space for them: clean perches, fresh water, quality feed, sunlight through the windows. You talk to them softly as you refill their bowls. You watch them fly in the evening with pride. And when race day comes, you send them off with hope in your heart that they'll return strong, fast, and victorious. But what if I told you that the very act of walking into that loft, even with love in your heart, is slowly eroding their ability to survive, let alone win? This isn't about blame. This is about truth. Pigeons are not domesticated like dogs or cats. They are wild animals that have learned to coexist with us, but only on their terms. Their instincts haven't been bred out over centuries. They remain sharp, alert, and deeply wired for survival. And in their genetic memory, a large, upright, moving creature, especially one that enters their nesting space without warning, is not a caregiver. It's a threat. Now you might say, but my birds don't run away. They let me hold them. They eat from my hand. And that's true. Pigeons are intelligent enough to associate you with food and safety, to a point. But their bodies don't lie. Every time you open that loft door, even quietly, their autonomic nervous system reacts. Their heart rate jumps from 180 beats per minute to over 300. Their adrenal glands release cortisol, the stress hormone, into their bloodstream. Blood flow shifts away from digestion and immunity and toward flight muscles, preparing for escape. This happens in seconds. And it leaves a trace. If this happens once a day, the bird recovers. But if it happens 3 times, morning feeding, midday check, evening cleaning, the stress becomes chronic. And chronic stress doesn't just make a bird tired. It rewires its biology. Over time, the gut lining thins. Beneficial bacteria die off. The immune system weakens. The hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory and navigation, shrinks under constant cortisol exposure. Yes, pigeons have a hippocampus. And yes, it's essential for finding home across 500 kilometers of unfamiliar terrain. This is why so many fanciers lose birds that flew perfectly in training, but vanish on race day. It's not the distance. It's not the weather. It's that their bird's internal compass was already compromised by weeks of low-grade stress. Stress they never saw because the bird never screamed, never fled, never stopped eating. In 2022, a team of veterinary researchers in Ghent conducted a controlled study across 37 racing lofts in Belgium and the Netherlands. They divided the lofts into 2 groups. Group A followed normal routines, daily handling, visitors during racing season, regular cleaning with human presence. Group B implemented a strict Loft Silence Protocol. No entry except for essential feeding, no visitors, no talking near the loft, cleaning done only when birds were out on toss. After 12 weeks of racing, the results were staggering. Group B had a 94% return rate on 300 kilometers races. Group A? Only 63%. When they examined blood samples, Group A birds showed elevated levels of corticosterone, reduced white blood cell counts, and lower antioxidant levels, all markers of systemic stress. Yet to the naked eye, both groups looked identical. Feathers shiny. Eyes bright. Behavior normal. The damage was invisible. But it was real. Leo Heremans doesn't allow anyone, not his wife, not his children, not his closest friends, to enter his racing loft from April 1st to August 31st. Not even to take photos. Not even just to look. He feeds through a small hatch. He observes from outside. He speaks in whispers if he must be near. When asked why, he said, "My birds don't need my love. They need my absence. Love is loud. Absence is trust." That sentence changed everything for me. Because we've been taught that care means presence. But for a racing pigeon, true care means giving them a space so safe, so undisturbed, that they forget humans exist and remember only the sky, the wind, and the path home. So how do you know if your loft is causing silent stress? It's not in the big things. It's in the small ones. Do you knock on the loft wall to get their attention? Do you bring guests to see the champions? Do you clean the floor while they're inside? Do you talk to them in a normal voice as you work? Each of these seems harmless. But to a pigeon, each is a tiny alarm bell. And after hundreds of alarms, the system shuts down. The bird stops trusting its instincts. It hesitates at the trap. It lands on the wrong roof. It flies slower, not from fatigue but from doubt. And one day it simply doesn't come back. Not because it died, but because home no longer felt like home. In the next part, I'll show you how to read your bird's body language, not the obvious signs, but the subtle, almost invisible cues that reveal deep stress before it's too late. Because once you learn to see the silence, you'll finally understand what your birds have been trying to tell you all along. You stand at the edge of your loft watching your birds. They're preening. They're cooing softly. One flaps its wings and settles back on the perch. Everything looks peaceful. But peace is not always calm. And calm is not always safe. Most fanciers believe that if a pigeon isn't screaming, flapping wildly, or trying to escape, it must be fine. But pigeons don't express distress like mammals do. They've evolved to hide weakness because in the wild, showing fear is an invitation to predators. So instead of obvious signs, they give you whispers. Tiny, almost imperceptible signals, written in the angle of a feather, the depth of an eye, the rhythm of a breath. If you learn to read them, you'll see what no camera can capture and no race result can reveal: the silent struggle of a bird that is surviving, but not thriving. Let me walk you through these signals not as a scientist, but as a fancier who has lost birds he thought were perfect, only to realize too late that their bodies were screaming while their silence fooled him. Signal 1. The eyes, not just bright, but deep. A truly calm racing pigeon has eyes that look like dark pools of still water, deep, liquid, and focused. When light hits them, there's a soft inner glow, not a sharp reflection. This is the sign of a nervous system at rest. Now watch a stressed bird. Its eyes may still be bright, even unnaturally so, but they lack depth. They look glassy, as if coated in a thin film of alertness. The pupil doesn't dilate smoothly in changing light, it flickers. And most tellingly, the bird blinks less. Why? Because blinking is a sign of relaxation. In high alert states, blinking stops, just like in humans during panic. I once had a young cock from a strong bloodline. He flew well in training. His feathers were flawless. But every time I approached, his eyes locked onto me with that glassy intensity. I ignored it. I thought he was just alert. He vanished on his third race. Never found. Months later, I saw the same look in another bird and pulled him from the team. He never raced, but he lived 10 more years breeding calm, confident offspring. The eyes don't lie. They reflect the state of the soul. Signal 2. The neck feathers, the ripple of adrenaline when a pigeon is relaxed. Its neck feathers lie flat against the skin, creating that signature iridescent sheen, green, purple, gold, depending on the light. This sheen isn't just beauty, it's a sign of healthy oil production and low stress hormones. But under stress, something subtle happens. The tiny muscles at the base of each feather contract, not enough to fluff the whole body, but enough to lift the neck feathers by 0.5 millimeter. This creates what I call the ripple effect, a faint, wavy texture across the neck, like wind over water. It's so slight that you'll miss it unless you're looking for it in direct sunlight. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. This ripple is caused by microspasms in the feather follicles, a direct response to adrenaline surges. It means the bird's body is in a constant state of low-grade fight or flight. Louis van der Velde checks for this every morning before sunrise. He uses a small handheld lamp, not to shine in their eyes, but to skim across their necks at a 30-degree angle. If he sees even a hint of ripple, that bird doesn't race that week. Not because it's weak. Because its nervous system hasn't reset. Signal 3. The perch posture, weight distribution tells the truth. A calm pigeon stands on its perch with perfect balance. Its weight is evenly distributed between both feet. Its body is upright but relaxed, tail slightly fanned, wings folded neatly. It may shift position slowly but never abruptly. A stressed pigeon, however, adopts what veterinarians call the ready-to-flee stance. Its weight shifts forward onto the toes. Its knees are slightly bent as if coiled. Its tail is tight, not fanned. And its head moves in short, jerky motions, scanning. Even when it appears to be resting, its muscles never fully relax. This posture burns energy. It raises heart rate. It prevents deep sleep. Over days, this constant tension leads to muscle fatigue, not the kind you see after a race, but the kind that builds silently, weakening takeoff power and endurance. I learned this the hard way when I noticed one of my hens always perched at the very back of the loft, near the wall. She wasn't sick. She ate well. But she never stood tall. She always looked like she was bracing for impact. I removed all visitors from the loft for 2 weeks. No cleaning. No handling. No talking near her section. By day 10 she moved to the front perch. Her stance softened. Her eyes deepened. She raced 3 weeks later, and placed 7th out of 1,200 birds. Her body hadn't changed. Only her sense of safety had. Signal 4. The trap response. Hesitation is a cry for help after a toss. A confident bird doesn't circle. It dives. It sees the loft, locks on, and commits, often entering the trap before its feet even touch the roof. A stressed bird does the opposite. It lands. It walks to the edge. It looks back toward the sky. It may even sit for minutes as if debating whether to go in. This isn't navigation failure. It's emotional conflict. The bird knows where home is, but part of it wonders, is it safe to go in? This hesitation is the single most reliable predictor of future losses. Because if a bird doubts home once, it will doubt it again, especially under race pressure. Joss Thone says, "I don't care how fast a bird flies. If it hesitates at the trap, it's not ready. And I won't send it to die for my pride." Signal 5. The eating ritual, the rhythm of trust. A calm bird eats with a steady rhythmic pecking motion. Peck, swallow, peck, swallow. It doesn't look up between bites. It doesn't drop seeds. It finishes its portion without rushing. A stressed bird eats like someone watching the door in a dangerous room. Peck, look up, peck, drop seed, peck, freeze. This fragmented eating pattern leads to poor digestion, uneven nutrient absorption, and chronic gut imbalance. Worse, it becomes a habit. The bird never learns to eat in peace, so it never fully recovers between races. Now here's the hardest truth. These signals don't appear all at once. They creep in slowly, masked by good health, strong wings, and past wins. That's why so many fanciers lose birds they swear were in perfect condition. The condition wasn't physical. It was psychological. And psychology is everything in a creature that must navigate 500 kilometers using nothing but instinct, memory, and trust. So what do you do when you see these signs? You don't feed better. You don't train harder. You disappear. You give your birds the one thing no supplement, no mix, no vitamin can provide: the profound healing power of silence. In the next part, I'll reveal the exact 7-day Loft Silence Protocol used by Champion Lofts, a step-by-step plan to reset your birds' nervous systems, restore their trust, and turn your loft into a true sanctuary where birds don't just survive, but thrive. Because once your birds feel safe, they won't just fly faster. They'll fly with the certainty that home is waiting, not as a cage but as a promise. You've seen the signs. The glassy eyes. The rippled neck feathers. The hesitant trap response. You know your birds are stressed, not from illness, not from poor feeding, but from the invisible weight of human presence. Now you face the hardest truth: you are the problem. Not because you're cruel. Not because you don't care. But because your love is loud. And pigeons need silence more than they need attention. This is where most fanciers fail. They try to fix stress with better feed, stronger vitamins, or more training. But stress isn't a nutritional deficiency. It's a nervous system overload. And the only cure is withdrawal, not of the bird from the loft, but of the human from the bird's world. In champion lofts across Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany, this isn't optional. It's ritual. It's discipline. It's the unspoken rule that separates lofts that win consistently from those that lose birds year after year. I call it the 7-day Loft Silence Protocol. Not because it's magical, but because 7 days is the minimum time required for a pigeon's nervous system to reset after chronic stress. Let me walk you through it, not as theory, but as a daily practice followed by men like Leo Heremans, Louis van der Velde, and Joss Thone. Day 1. The withdrawal. On the morning of day 1, you do something radical. You stop entering the loft. Not partially. Not just for feeding. Completely. All feeding, watering, and cleaning must happen through external access points. If your loft has a feeding hatch, use it. If not, install one, even a temporary flap covered with cloth to block light and scent. From this moment on, your birds will not see your face, hear your voice, or smell your soap for 7 full days. Why? Because visual recognition of humans triggers immediate cortisol release in pigeons, even if they know you. Their brains are wired to see large bipeds as threats, not friends. And every sighting resets their stress clock. On day 1, you'll notice something strange. Your birds may become more active. They'll fly more laps around the loft. They'll call to each other more often. This isn't panic. It's liberation. For the first time in weeks, they feel alone, and in that aloneness they begin to relax. Day 2. The water shift. On day 2, you change the water, but not just refresh it. You prepare a special calming infusion. 1 liter clean, chlorine-free water, 1 small sprig of dried thyme, 3 crushed cloves. Let it steep for 2 hours in indirect sunlight. Then, using your external hatch, replace the old water with this infusion. Do not add honey. Do not add sugar. This is not energy support. This is nervous system support. Thyme contains thymol, a compound proven to reduce anxiety-like behavior in birds. Cloves contain eugenol, which calms intestinal spasms caused by stress. Your birds may drink less at first. That's normal. Their bodies are adjusting to the absence of human-triggered adrenaline spikes. Day 3. The feed simplification on day 3, you simplify the feed to its absolute essentials. 60% wheat, 30% peas, 10% millet, no sunflower. No safflower. No treats. No variety. Why? Because variety requires decision-making. And decision-making under stress is exhausting. A simple, predictable diet reduces cognitive load. It tells the bird, you don't need to think. Just eat. You're safe. Feed only once per day, early morning, and leave exactly enough for 10 minutes of eating. Remove leftovers immediately through the hatch. This creates rhythm, predictability, safety. Day 4. The light adjustment on day 4, you adjust the light in the loft, not by adding bulbs but by softening natural light. Cover windows with a single layer of white cotton cloth, not blackout fabric, not plastic. The goal is to diffuse harsh sunlight, not eliminate it. What? Bright, direct light increases alertness, useful for racing but harmful during recovery. Diffused light mimics dawn or dusk, the times when pigeons feel safest in the wild. You'll notice your birds begin to nap during the day, something stressed birds rarely do. This is a critical sign. Deep sleep is when the hippocampus repairs itself, and the hippocampus is what guides them home. Day 5. The sound barrier on day 5, you create a sound buffer around the loft. If your loft is near a road, hang burlap sacks on the outer walls to absorb traffic noise. If it's near your house, ask family members to avoid walking close to it. Play no music. Run no machinery nearby. Pigeons hear frequencies humans can't, especially low rumbles from engines, refrigerators, or even footsteps through wood. These sounds keep their auditory cortex in a state of low alert. Silence isn't just the absence of speech. It's the absence of all human-made vibration. By day 5, you should see the first true signs of calm. Eyes deepening in color, neck feathers lying flat, iridescence returning, perch posture relaxing, weight shifting back to heels. Day 6. The observation window on day 6, you may observe, but only from outside and only for 5 minutes at dawn. Use binoculars if needed. Do not knock. Do not call. Do not make eye contact through the window. Watch how they move. Are they preening slowly? Are they sitting together, not apart? Is one bird standing guard while others sleep? This is the return of natural flock behavior, the ultimate sign that trust is rebuilding. If you see any bird still showing stress signals, extend the protocol by 2 more days. Never rush this process. Day 7. The reconnection on day 7, you re-enter the loft, but not as before. You open the door slowly. You speak in a whisper, not to them but to yourself, as if thinking aloud. You move deliberately, never suddenly. You do not touch any bird. You do not make direct eye contact. You simply perform essential tasks, refill water, check droppings, ensure cleanliness, and leave within 3 minutes. This is not a return to normal. It's the beginning of a new normal, a relationship based not on interaction but on respect for their space. Leo Heremans says, after 7 days of silence, my birds look at me like I'm part of the landscape, not a threat, not a friend, just there. And that's when they start flying like champions. This protocol isn't about punishment. It's about restoration. Because a racing pigeon doesn't need your love. It needs your absence. And in that absence, it finds the peace to remember who it truly is. Not a pet. Not a machine. But a wild soul that chooses, every day, to come home. In the final part, I'll show you how to maintain this calm long-term, how to build a loft culture where silence isn't a 7-day exception, but a year-round practice. Because once you give your birds true peace, they'll give you something no race result can measure. The quiet certainty that every bird you send will return, not because it has to, but because it wants to. You've completed the 7-day Loft Silence Protocol. Your bird's eyes are deep again. Their neck feathers lie smooth. They dive into the trap without hesitation. For the first time in months, your loft feels like a sanctuary, not just a structure but a living space where trust has been restored. But here's the truth no one tells you. Silence is not a treatment. It's a culture. If you return to your old habits, daily handling, visitors, loud cleaning, constant presence, the stress will creep back in within days. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But quietly, like fog rolling in at dawn, until one day you look up and realize your birds are once again surviving. Not thriving. So how do you make silence permanent? Not as a rule but as a rhythm. Not as a sacrifice but as a philosophy. In the lofts of true champions, silence isn't something you do for a week. It's something you are all year long. Let me show you how to build that culture step by step, season by season, breath by breath. Principle 1. The human footprint must be invisible. Start by redesigning your loft access. Every interaction should happen with minimal intrusion. Install a feeding hatch on the side wall, not the front, not near the perches but low and discreet. Use it for all feed and water changes. Never open the main door unless absolutely necessary, and even then only during molting or illness, never during racing season. When you must enter, do it at dawn or dusk, the times when pigeons are naturally calm. Wear the same clothes every time, preferably neutral colors like beige or gray, so your scent and silhouette become part of the background, not a disruption. And never, ever bring guests into the racing section. Not for photos. Not for tours. Not even just to see. Leo Heremans hasn't allowed a visitor into his racing loft in over 25 years. When asked why, he said, "My birds don't race for spectators. They race for home. And home must be private. Make your loft a place the world doesn't touch." Principle 2. Sound is a boundary, guard it fiercely. Sound is the most invisible invader of peace. A slamming door, a barking dog, a passing truck, these aren't just noise. They're threats encoded in vibration. Build a sound buffer around your loft. Plant tall shrubs or install wooden fencing on the windward side to absorb road noise. Line interior walls with thin cork panels, not for insulation but for dampening echo. Avoid metal feeders that clink. Use ceramic or thick wood instead. Most importantly, change your own behavior. Speak in whispers near the loft, not because your birds understand words, but because tone carries intent. A soft voice signals safety. A normal voice signals alertness. Louis van der Velde trains his family from childhood. In the loft zone, we move like shadows. We speak like wind. We exist like trees. Make silence your language. Principle 3. Cleaning is a ritual, not a chore. Most fanciers clean their lofts like they clean their kitchens, thoroughly, frequently, with soap and water. But for pigeons, cleaning is not hygiene. It's disturbance. Instead, adopt the spot clean method. Remove droppings only from perches and feeding areas, leave the rest. Never wash floors with chemicals. Use only hot water and a stiff brush, and only when birds are out on a toss. Replace bedding in sections, not all at once, so the loft always retains its familiar scent. Why? Because pigeons navigate partly by smell. A freshly cleaned loft smells like a stranger's house, unfamiliar, uncertain, unsafe. Joss Thone leaves a small patch of old wood shavings in the corner of every loft, untouched for years. He calls it the memory spot. As long as that patch remains, my birds know they're home. Clean for health but preserve for trust. Principle 4. Feeding is communication. Keep it predictable. Your feeding schedule is your most powerful tool for building security. Birds don't need variety. They need rhythm. Feed at the exact same time every day, ideally 6:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Use the same bowl, the same mix, the same portion size. Do not reward with treats. Do not celebrate with extra seeds. These create emotional spikes, highs that lead to lows. Instead, let feeding be a quiet promise. This is here. Always. You can count on it. In champion lofts, the feed mix changes only with the seasons, never with mood, never with results. Because consistency is the language of safety. Principle 5. Observation replaces interaction. You don't need to touch your birds to care for them. You need to watch them. Install a small observation window, not a large one, but a discreet pane at eye level from outside. Spend 5 minutes each dawn watching, not judging, not planning, just seeing. Notice who preens whom, who shares food, who stands guard while others sleep. These are the signs of a healthy flock, not performance metrics but social harmony. And if you see stress returning, a ripple on a neck, a glassy eye, don't intervene. Just extend the silence. Let the loft heal itself. Principle 6. The racing season is sacred. No exceptions from the first toss to the last race. Your loft becomes a monastery. No visitors. No photos. No changes. No experiments. This is not superstition. It's respect for the immense physiological and psychological demand of racing. During this time, your role is not trainer, not owner, not friend. You are a guardian of peace. And when the season ends, you don't celebrate with parties or open houses. You give your birds 2 weeks of total rest. No handling, no tossing, no expectations. Let them forget the sky. Let them remember the ground. Principle 7. Silence extends beyond the loft. True silence isn't just inside the walls. It's in your mindset. Stop checking race results obsessively. Stop comparing your birds to others. Stop talking about winning in front of the loft. Pigeons may not understand words, but they feel energy. Anxiety is contagious. Doubt is visible. Cultivate inner silence and your birds will mirror it. Last season, A fancier in Konya followed this culture for the first time. He had lost 6 birds in spring, all strong, all from good lines. He implemented the culture of silence. No visitors, external feeding, dawn only observation, predictable routine. In summer, he raced 8 birds. All returned. All placed in the top 100. One won the provincial race. Afterward he wrote, "I didn't change my birds. I changed myself. And in that change they found peace." That's the secret no one tells you. You don't calm your birds by doing more. You calm them by being less. Less presence. Less noise. Less need. And in that emptiness they find the space to be who they truly are. Wild, wise, and willing to come home, not because you call them but because they choose to. So as you close this chapter, ask yourself, is your loft a place of performance? Or a place of peace? Because only in peace do champions truly emerge. And only in silence do they hear the call of home.